Hello and welcome. So, what a weekend of football we have just had in the Premier League with Chelsea thrashing Norwich and Manchester City getting 5 as well. And then yesterday, the big result was at Old Trafford, home of Manchester United. They got thumped 5-0 by their biggest rival, Liverpool. Well, let's have a little look into that one then. So, Manchester United, who are the most successful team in Premier League history, although it has been 7 years now since Sir Alex left, coming up to 8 at the end of the season, it'll be. They haven't really achieved much since Sir Alex left, with that 13th Premier League title, the 20th League Championship overall. Now Liverpool have won one since, so they're now just one behind them with that one Premier League win. So they are catching them. But the defence yesterday, the defending from Manchester United, and bear in mind, the player who got the highest rating in that team wasn't the goalkeeper, and they lost 5-0. Says it all, really. They don't defend well. I've watched them over the last few weeks in Europe. They conceded 2 simple goals against Atalanta. They foolishly had a player sent off and lost in a game against, let's say, the Young Boys, whoever they played in the first game in the Champions League. They were running that game. They were in no real trouble. Wan-Bissaka got himself sent off, a bit harsh in my view, but they then collapsed defensively and ended up conceding 2. And credit to the opposition in that game as well. You know, it's easy to say, oh, United crumbled, but the other team pressed well. They made the most of their extra man, and they deserved the win. But in other games as well, you know, defensively they're conceding way too many. And, you know, they've signed a lot of experienced players. They do have, player for player, one of the better teams in the Premier League. It's just the way that they focus, the way that they come together. They have one of the best 11 playing squads, but do they have one of the best 11 playing squads? As in the way the players all come together. Because for me, there's a lot of great individuals. Look at someone like Bruno. Bruno is fabulous, and there aren't many players in the world who can say at one time or another, I was the best player on the planet, bar none. And they have that in Cristiano Ronaldo. And bearing in mind, though, that was a Cristiano Ronaldo of, let's say, 6 years ago, he was still that player. He was still world class. And I would still pick him ahead of most players in the Premier League. Mo Salah at the moment is different level. He got a hat-trick at Old Trafford. So I have to say, though, that I put him in my fantasy team because, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Liverpool as a club. I like the players. I do like Henderson. I think he should be the England captain. I do obviously like Mo Salah and Sane and lots of their players. To be fair, I like them as players and don't like the club that they play for. And you can say the same with Manchester City and Chelsea as well. But the way they easily pass through United, you know, you got 2 apparently defensive midfielders there. Well, why are they not defending then? How is that space in the middle being created? It ain't, you know, they're just not defending correctly. You know, they're not being coached. It has to go back to coaching, because this isn't just a one-off. And yeah, you do sort of feel they come up against a decent midfield and a decent attack and a decent team, a proper quality team, they can be ripped to pieces. And yesterday it showed how vulnerable against quality. You know, Liverpool, whether you like it or not, you can't say, oh, they're rubbish. They're certainly not. You know, they've got an absolutely incredible team, and this is the same as when they won the title and the season before when they won the Champions League. You know, would I put any of those players necessarily in a World 11? Well, Van Dijk, yes. Alisson, yes. Salah, yes. But would I have put any of that three, which they play in midfield, in there as individuals? No. I wouldn't put Henderson in my top three midfielders in the world, nor would I Wijnaldum, and nor would I think who the other one was now, but there was another. But no, they aren't going to go in my top three midfielders in the world. But as a team, as a collective, they were probably as good as any midfield three in world football because of the way they worked. And then they won the league, and then the following year they had 5 centre backs injured. So that midfield, Fabinho, that was him. I don't know if him was the best one. So him and Henderson had to become centre backs, which meant that they lost that intensity in that amazing midfield. Well, they've pretty much got it back this season. I know Wijnaldum has gone, but Henderson's still there. Fabinho, who didn't play yesterday, but they brought through Curtis Jones. They've got James Milner. They've got quality, and they have a style of play which they are going to play, and it works. And that is what is important, really, because without it, what have they got? You know, like I say, they don't have the best midfield, but they are coached correctly and in a manner which is going to make them better in that midfield than if they were to go. So if Henderson, for example, you know, he's 30, 31, maybe 32 now, I'm not sure, it's around that sort of age. If he was to think, right, I'm no longer quite got it to be at this level, I'm going to drop down to another level, and let's go to say a Spurs level. So it's still a good level, or an Arsenal level, so it's still a high level, but not quite going for the championship level. I don't think that'd be as effective because it's not playing in the same way. You know, Jurgen Klopp has to take a lot of credit because he has been able to come into English football and interrupt this dominance from Manchester City. And you know, that's, you know, whether you like the money or that or not, and you think, oh, it's not right what's going on with Newcastle either, because he's just going to make. Let's forget about that. Let's just look at what he has created. He's created a team which play in a style, and he's brought in players that suit his style, and it didn't happen straight away. But also, I heard an interesting stat on the radio yesterday, which is one which mainly Manchester United can see some light from. So in his first however many games, Ollie has had, I think it's 168 now. He's got 307 points. Well, at the same point, exactly the same point, with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, he scored 308 points. So they are so close. But I do feel that early on, Jurgen Klopp was creating a style and way he wanted Liverpool to play, which now you can see and you can say, yeah, that works. You know, and it's getting better and better. You know, you look at some managers and you can see where you get an idea of where it's going. It's, you know, United have not been shy to go out and spend money. You know, people can criticise their owners, like Newcastle did Mike Ashley and all that. You know, and they're doing this, that, and the other. If you're still able to go out and buy some of the best players in the world paying more than anyone else. You know, you think of all the money that Manchester City have spent over the years, but it still remains Manchester United, who are the team which has the most expensive signings in England until Jack Grealish, because they had Pogba. And okay, Lukaku came in this season to top that as well, but Pogba was for a long time the most expensive player. This season they've also signed Sancho. They brought back Ronaldo, and they've signed one of the best defenders in the world in Varane. He obviously was out yesterday and we clearly missed it. This is another thing, you know, when you look back at how much Virgil van Dijk cost, I think it was 75 million. And okay, that did inflate the market. I'm sorry, but and I'm not sorry, I'm not meaning to be cruel towards Harry Maguire, but he's not insane. Is he in anyone's top 10 best defenders in the world? For me, he's not in the best top 10 defenders in the Premier League, and yet he is the world's most expensive defender. So how does that really work? I know it's, you know, you pay what the asking price is in many ways, but for me, he wasn't the best defender even at Leicester. Look at Johnny Evans. I know he's a bit older, but Johnny Evans is immense. They need to sort out the defence. Where I will credit Harry is he's good in the air and he's good with his feet, but his positional play isn't always the best, and there is a mistake with him. When you look at someone like John Stones, when he signed for Manchester City for 50 million, he was seen as expensive, but you could see a mistake in him. You don't tend to see many mistakes from him. Not that he's in the team at the moment, but last season, you know, he wasn't making the mistakes that he had in the past. So, you know, he has been trained properly. But again, Pep, one of the best coaches in the world. Is anyone putting Ollie in the same class as Jurgen Klopp, Pep Ranieri and Thomas Tuchel? And where Paul Scholes, greatest English midfielder of all time, thought he was an incredible player, played in a different style of football to how teams play now, so he didn't necessarily get many assists. But if you could go back and look at the assist to the assist, I think he would be so high, because he was the one who was generally feeding the likes of Beckham or Ronaldo or Giggs to put those crosses in and set up those moments of magic. So, you know, his passing ability, and everyone go back to his tackling, it wasn't the best, but you know, it could do with a player like that. And again, they played in a different style and different formation, but class is class, and he certainly had on the pitch. He was, for me, the finest central midfield player in English football history, certainly going forward anyway. He said he was the best defensive player I've ever seen, but give him the ball, no, good luck. He was one of 4 players ranked by Alex Ferguson as world class, and this is the thing, you know, world class is thrown around far too often. Well, I can tell you one thing that isn't world class, that is Manchester United's defence at the moment. They need to get Varane back. They need to work so hard. Don't worry about the going forward bits. This is my tip now for Ollie. Don't worry about going forward. You've got enough skill and ability in the centre of the park, and you've got the wide men like Greenwood, Rashford, who can run for England, and they can do that. Sort your defence out, sort your midfield out, make them play in a style which suits you. If they don't want to do that, then get rid of them. That is might it. You know, if they don't want to do it, then fine, don't play. You know, let's still use it. Don't keep good players. There are many good players at Manchester United. Don't keep good players playing in a system that they're not comfortable with and they don't want to do, because you're not going to get the best out of Paul Pogba if you don't want to play him in a position where Paul Pogba will be at his best. At his best, he's as good a midfielder as anybody in the world. When you don't want to do it though, you might, well, I was going to say you might as well have me on, but no, you don't want me on the bench, because I can't do the running he does. But you might as well not put him on. So play him how he wants to be played, or just let him go. That's all I can say. Obviously, you know, his contract's running out, so do what must be done. If he was to leave, it will do a lot for your financial fair play. That's all I'm going to say. It would be a shame for such a quality player to leave the club. You know, he's a World Cup winner. When you watch him in the World Cup and he's playing in a certain style, with certain players, let's be fair, the French squad is better than United squad. Don't think I'm exaggerating or being disrespectful there. The French squad has world-class players in it. You know, you look at that United team, there are world-class players in that. And as I said earlier, one of the best players of all time is in that team. But then, you know, they lost 5-0. Well, Norwich lost 7-0 as well. They were absolutely destroyed by Chelsea. But for me, well, you're playing Chelsea. You know, it's embarrassing, it's hard to take. Players have pride, and you know, that would be upset. But no disrespect to Norwich, they got Norwich shirt. These other players got Manchester United shirts on, and I would say the expectation going into the weekend from a Manchester United fan should be more, we can do this, and Norwich were bottom against top of the league Chelsea. Chelsea, you know, they didn't win big, then they would have got criticised a bit. Mason Mount showed his class, got a hat-trick. Well done, Mason. And Man City now playing with Phil Foden as a 9, really. Wow, he's certainly got the quality, but people look at then at international football and say, oh well, that's not going to help England. Who gives them monkeys? You know, who cares? You know, Pep Guardiola doesn't pick a player and think, oh well, if I play him there, that's not going to help the national team. He don't give a shit about the national team. He's not paid to manage England, he's paid to manage Man City, and if he sees, even if it's one of the stars of the England team, think I can play him there, then he will. Also, in the week, me and AD, we watched Man City in Europe. I can't remember who they were playing, but they won 5-1, something like that. And they brought on this young kid, and he was a bit gangly looking, but my word, he took his goal well, and he could have had another, and yeah, exciting stuff there. So yeah, City have definitely got the players coming through, and you know, that's another thing with Manchester United. They've always had this conveyor belt of quality. Obviously, the most famous was the so-called class of '92, which saw, let's just go through Ryan Giggs. Fergie had him as one of his 4 world-class players. Paul Scholes, another one, that's half of his world-class players. David Beckham, well, he wasn't bad either, was he? Nicky Butt, quality, hard man in midfield. Gary and Phil Neville, well, I know these two get slagged off a lot, but for me, I would have Gary Neville at right back for England all day long, because he was able to defend, but he could also whip in across. nowadays, Trent Alexander-Armstrong, similar sort of player in a way. He's a good, he's a pretty decent defender. He does have a world-class centre back to help him out, and he has an incredible engine. He's able to run in almost plays as a winger as well. Whips in a fantastic cross. Obviously works on that. The fitness level nowadays is, beyond insane. They are so incredibly fit now. So that you take, I don't know, say the triple winning Manchester United team and put them against the Premier League winning Liverpool team, I think the Liverpool team would be able to run probably 5k further than that United team. That's no disrespect to the United team. They were a thing of their time, and for me they are still probably United's second greatest squad at Fergie Hill. I would say the 2018 was slightly better, although if you could mix them about a bit, that would have been interesting, wouldn't it? Imagine having Ronaldo in the triple winning team, as in the Ronaldo of 2008, 2009. That would be amazing. Who else? I would have had Van der Sar in goal. Even though Schmeichel is legendary, I think Van der Sar was a little bit better. Defensively, Ronnie Johnson was incredible. Yapstam was certainly of comment, but then you had Vidic and Ferdinand, probably the best centre-back duo in Premier League history. There you go. There's an argument for you. Which defensive duo? There's a few trios now, but which defensive duo was the Premier League's greatest? For me, I'm going Vidic and Ferdinand. Why not? They were consistent, they were tough to beat, and especially with someone like Rio in the team, he could certainly play. He would be a mixture between, let's say, John Terry, who was a good organiser, good all-round defender, and Harry Maguire, where he could bring the ball out, or David Villa, who could play the ball. These are quality defenders. He was a cultured player as well as a hard man. We have a lot of credit to him. He's been through a lot recently, and hoping that his family are doing well. Anyway, there you go. That's my little analysis of the terrible times of Manchester United. And I'm not even a United fan. Let me just that I appreciate them, I like them, but I'm not actually a United fan. Although I would say that they're my favourite Premier League team. I'm actually a Portsmouth fan. No, a bit shit. I would say I'm possibly the worst Portsmouth fan as well, because I could tell you the 11 Saints players who would start, but I couldn't tell you a Portsmouth player. Not one. And I don't care, because they play in such a poor league and they're not even doing well. So I don't really follow them. People say, oh, I'll probably get on this week. I don't know. If you could tell me, that'd be great, but I don't care. No. It's a terrible way to treat your club, but I'm sorry, but that's just the way I am. I used to go and watch them, and they used to play nice football, but what I've seen recently, it's not exactly the best to watch. I do appreciate my cousins who go up and down the country watching them. That's his life. That's what Dusty does. He loves it, and why not? If that's what you're into, you can afford it, and you want to do it, then go and do it. But I don't want to watch poor football. I don't really want to watch good football that much. I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy the game. I like listening about it, and I prefer it on the radio, to be fair, because you don't have to watch it. And I'm pleased I didn't actually. I watched the goals. I saw the highlights, the very basic highlights of Liverpool stuffing Manchester United at the weekend. It's not something I need to watch really. I'm not really a fan of watching match of the day and stuff like that either. Doesn't mean I don't like the game, but for wrestling, more entertaining. You know, give me some SmackDown. Yeah, I'm happy. Need to watch SmackDown this weekend. Still, it's the start of the draft has now been activated, so we now have some new stars on SmackDown, which should be good. Anyway, this has been your man and his. Maybe I'll change this channel to Man in a Car. What do you think? Man in a Shed, Man in a Car. We're going to stick with Man in a Shed at the moment because that's what we called it, and we called it that for a reason. Even though I very rarely go into my shed anymore. Won't be doing any videos from the shed this week. So do have my parents' wedding anniversary meal on Saturday, which will be nice. See them again, it'll be good. But other than that, that's been your Premier League weekend. It's been a busy week at work. It was good. Hopefully I'll stay relatively busy this week. It is half term here in Hampshire, so let's hope so. Anyway, almost there now, so I am finally gonna hang up. I know you're all thinking, well, Andy, it looked like you're gonna hang up about 3 minutes ago. I know, but there you go. That's how easy it is for this idiot to ramble. So town's looking wet. Town is looking pretty empty. Not going to expect to leave too much today, I don't think. A few kids on scooters. Just stay there, boy. Stay there, boy. And yeah, there you go. So this has been your man in the shed MP. Hope everyone is well. See ya, pals. Just gonna do me amazing bit of barking. Gorgeous. That's what you do is you get around the car, you make it safe every time there's a different car next to me. Hopefully there's a car next to you because you can use the mirrors to know where to stop. There you go, that'll do me. That's there, that's there. Turn them off, turn that off. See you, pal.